Hey everyone, hope your plants are doing great. Welcome to another video. Now that spring is just around the corner, we might probably have a list of plants that are waiting to be repotted. Today I'll show you a repotting technique that I often use to repot my plants, and I find it really beneficial when compared to the traditional repotting technique. This technique might not be new for you and you might already be using this technique to repot your plants, but I've not seen many people on the internet use this technique to repot their plants, so I thought I'll share with you. It's nothing dramatically different, but I think it'll help us all. And I call this method pot the pot technique. In this video, I'll not cover the basics of repotting, but only the technique as such. I have lots of plants that are waiting to be repotted, so maybe I'll do another video on the repotting basics and the things that I've learned till now. Usually what we do is we fill up the new pot with some soil, remove the plant from the old pot, place it in the center of the new pot and fill the gaps with the soil. I used to follow the same technique, but I find it has certain disadvantages. In this method, we need to disturb the plant foliage and the roots while repotting, and this can cause damage to the plant, especially the delicate ones, during the process. Repotting is already a shock or a big change to the plant that it has to adjust to. It needs to establish its roots in the new soil, in the new pot, so why not make it as easy for them as possible? Now I'll introduce the pot technique, which I find is easy on the plants and also on us because it is easy and less messy. This is my string of pearls plant which I bought 2 weeks back. I want to repot this plant into this terracotta pot because I love the look of succulents in terracotta pot. It is also the best kind of pots for indoor plants. For this technique, we need to remove the plant from the pot as usual, and instead of planting the plant directly, we'll plant the pot first. So what I do is I gently remove the plant from the pot. So you can see it's not root bound, it is not ready to be repotted, but still I'll repot because I want to change the pot. Now I'll spray some water on this root ball so that we reduce the transplant shock as much as possible when it is repotted. So give it a good soak in water. You can also dip the root ball in water or pour some water into it, whatever works for you. I'll put the plant aside, let the plant rest and drink its water. Meanwhile, we can already start the repotting process. So here I have the potting soil ready. This is the mixture that I generally use for my indoor plants. What I'm going to do is I'll moisten the soil that we want to use in the new pot. Just keep it moist but not too wet. We want to work with moist soil. You'll understand why later in this video. Now I have the new pot. I'll cover the drainage with a pebble just so that only the water seeps out while watering. Now fill the pot with some soil. Now we need to take the old pot in which the plant was sitting and check with the old pot whether the height is correct. If not, just go back and fill in some more soil. Okay, I think that is enough in my case. When we repot, we should keep in mind that the plant is placed at the same level as in the old pot and we do not end up burying any stems, because if we bury the stems, then the plant will start to rot. And this is the step that I find as the biggest advantage of this method, because if we are to directly pot the plant into the new pot, then we'll have to touch the plant 10 times before we get the height right. After filling the bottom with the soil, place the pot in the middle and start filling the sides with some soil. You need to fill the soil up to the lip of the old container because this is where the plant has to sit. Once we finish the potting, we can remove the old pot and hopefully there will be a well created inside. So this well will be created only if the soil is moist. Otherwise, if you remove the pot, the entire soil will fall into the middle. So this is why I mentioned before that it is important to work with moist soil for this technique to work. If you notice, till now we have not touched the plant at all, and 70% of the repotting is already done. And the plant is happily sitting there without even knowing what we are up to. Now place the plant in the center inside the well. You can loosen up the roots if you want, but I'm not going to do it. Generally we dislodge the roots and the soil a bit so that the plant can find its way to the new soil. But we don't need to tell the plants to find its way, it will find on its own. So I don't do it every time. That's it. If you want, you can fill up some soil on the sides if there are any gaps. But here there are no gaps, it's perfect. So that's it. That was the pot technique. As I told, it's nothing dramatically different, but it's just simple things that can make our life easy. Now let me quickly summarize the pros and cons of this method. I find this method does not disturb the plant as much, both the foliage and the roots, and this can minimize the transplant shock for the plants. Also, it is easy to find the right height for the plant by using the old pot as reference. I find it easy to fill the soil around the pot than around the plant because it is more visible and we don't have any leaves or stems or roots on the way. Also, it is less messy according to me. It doesn't leave your living room full of soil. It is ideal for delicate plants and also flowering plants because we don't want to lose any blooms during the process of repotting. This method is also helpful for repotting large plants, as we don't have to lift the plants and balance it while repotting if we can use the old pot as reference. This also helps to place the plant right in the center of the new pot, and the plants can distribute its roots uniformly on all sides. Because I have experienced in the past, after repotting, my plant somehow ends up on one side. So this method helps to place the plant right in the center. Now to the cons. I was thinking really hard to find some disadvantages to this method, but I have found a few. I find this method is less advantageous when it comes to transplanting plant cuttings. I think it is easy to plant them directly in the soil without a pot. And also when we have to remove the entire soil from the roots because we want to change the soil, or the root was infected or it has a root rot, then it might not be as beneficial as it is. But I still think this method will give us a reference to place the plant again in the soil. And if the plant is extensively root bound and you have to cut the old pot to get the plant out of the pot, then this method can still be used by using a pot of the same measurement. But if you don't have that, then this method might not be applicable. If you think there is any other disadvantage to this method, please let me know in the comments down below. Because once you're into something, you fail to see the disadvantages until someone else points it out. So let me know. What works for me might not work for you, but still try it out to see if it works. And tag me in Instagram if you try it out. Hope this video was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Bye and take care.